Clint Eastwood became a Hollywood icon for his acclaimed roles in countless westerns, but to play the lead in his Best Picture-winning masterpiece Unforgiven, he waited 10 years to be old enough. While many will know Eastwood for his breakout role as the man with no name in Sergio Leone's spaghetti western dollars trilogy, this was just the tip of the iceberg when it came to his back catalog of playing cowboys, gunslingers, and outlaws. While roles in classics like High Plains Drifter and Two Mules for Sister Sarah, Unforgiven remains Eastwood's magnum opus as both a star and director. As an actor and filmmaker who has continued working well into his 90s, Eastwood transformed from the gritty, witty outlaw we meet in A Fistful of Dollars into the aged former rodeo star of Cry Macho. Yet right in the middle of these two career points, Eastwood blew audiences away with his complex performance as William Money in Unforgiven. As a film that deconstructed the tropes and cliches of the Western genre and presented them back onto itself, Eastwood made the right call by waiting a decade to be old enough to get the most out of the role. Unforgiven saw Clint Eastwood portray the aged outlaw William Money, a farmer with an incredibly violent past who takes on one last job years later. As a role that not only examined the hypocrisies of the myth of the Old West, but was also informed by Eastwood's lifetime of work in the Western genre, Money represented the brutality and unforgiving nature of those who embraced violence and bloodshed in the lawless environment of the American frontier. As a movie exploring notions of heroism, morality, and redemption, Money's aged wisdom was central to the film's impact. This was why Eastwood was conscious not to make Unforgiven before he was old enough to portray Money with a maturity that the part required. In a speech for the 40th anniversary of the AFI, Eastwood spoke about why he delayed making Unforgiven for more than 10 years, and explained that even though he purchased the script in 1981, the movie was not released until 1992. Eastwood said that even though he absolutely fell in love with the script, he figured maybe I should be just a little bit older to do this character. This meant that Unforgiven languished in a drawer for a full decade before Eastwood realized I ought to take it out and look at it before I get too old to do it. Eastwood's love for the film had not diminished one bit in the intervening years, and with the aged maturity needed to accurately portray Money with the gravitas the role deserved, Unforgiven began filming in Alberta, Canada. The results were so outstanding that Eastwood asserted the movie would be his last traditional Western, as any future film would simply be rehashing the past. In the years prior to Unforgiven, Eastwood made plenty of all-time great Western movies and didn't want to be pigeonholed into any particular genre. This was part of the reason he shelved Unforgiven for years, although he also felt compelled to return to it, as he described it as the only Western he had ever read that was the equivalent of his classic movie, The Outlaw Josie Wales from 1976. The moral complexity of William Money and Gene Hackman's Little Bill Daggett summed up practically everything there was to say about the violent excesses of the Wild West, and continually playing aged outlaws in derivative Westerns was not of interest to Eastwood. Instead, Eastwood focused on moving away from the Western genre and explored mystery in Mystic River, sports in Million Dollar Baby, and socially conscious drama in Gran Torino. The emotional intensity of Million Dollar Baby proved Eastwood could be just as good outside the Western genre, and he won his second Academy Award for Best Picture with that acclaimed sports movie. With Hilary Swank as the aspiring boxer Maggie Fitzgerald and Eastwood as her gruff trainer, audiences would be forgiven for thinking that this was simply yet another underdog sports story or a female spin on Rocky. However, much like Unforgiven before it, Eastwood used the movie as an opportunity to unpack the tropes of sports films and deliver a complex story about redemption, determination, and euthanasia. A major reason that Unforgiven was such a success was that it came with the baggage of Clint Eastwood's entire career and legacy. We believe William Money is an aged outlaw with a violent past, because we had already watched Eastwood shoot his way through the Wild West for decades.